but he's awfully, awfully kind. Yes, it's true. I am a recovering KSU college Republican. I was telling Donnie when we were talking just a few minutes ago that when I was a college Republican here at KSU, it was me and about 4 guys that were about 10 years younger than me. And we just couldn't find anybody to lead the club. And so the club had went through spurts of growth, and then folks would graduate, and Dr. Swint, who many of y'all who are in the political science department might know Dr. Swint. Dr. Swint was our faithful right-of-center professor within the political science department, and he was our faculty advisor for college Republicans, and he and some others encouraged me to try to kickstart the program, get it back going again, and then we did, and we recruited a lot of great students of all ages, and we're really proud of the work that we did. We were very involved when Newt Gingrich was Speaker of the House, and then left his speakership, and we did a lot of on-campus stunts, one of which, we call them stunts because they were stunts. I mean, to be real frank about it, they were stunts. We did a draft Newt campaign trying to get Speaker Gingrich to come and teach on campus because we knew that the chair at the time didn't care for him, and she didn't necessarily care for us rowdy Republican kids. So I had a great time as a CR. I encourage you guys while you're in school, especially while you're at Kennesaw, make the most of it. Do the most with the club. Make as many connections as you can. When I was a CR here at KSU, I was an intern in the State House. That was back when there was not a Republican in leadership in the State House. I will never forget when I went in for my intern interview, and the gal said to me, she said, you know, where would you like to go? Who would you like to be placed with? And I said, well, I'd like to be placed with a Republican. And she laughed and threw her head back, and she says, honey, we don't have any of those around here. And Tom Murphy was Speaker, and they put me with some Democrats who tried to recruit me to their side pretty much every day of the week. But I managed to make it through a 5-month session, still hold on to my Republican cred, and then went off into the private business world and really detached from politics for a while. And that's really what I want to talk to you guys about today. I'm running for Congress here in the 11th District. I am unique in some respects from an education standpoint. It's that KSU education I talk about. I paid for myself like many of you guys are doing right now. I worked full-time, my husband worked full-time, and I was the first person in my family to ever graduate from a 4-year college. My father was the first person in his family to ever graduate with a high school diploma. My grandfather had an 8th grade education. And my father really pressed on us that if you had an education, you were honest and you worked hard, that there was nothing that you couldn't achieve in this country. Because while other countries have a class system, we don't. Our nation is made up of opportunity. Our nation is made with a government that's designed to be small, get out of our way, so that every individual had an opportunity to live in freedom and in liberty. Hello, Chairman Joe. How are you?
Hello, fine. Sorry, Blake.
You're good. It's good to see you. This is Joe Dendy, who's late for class. He's the chairman of the Cobb County Republican Party. And so he pressed that on me, and I decided that I was going to do whatever it took to go to college. My husband and I both worked full-time so that he could go to college down in Florida. And once we got him out of school, we both set the same goal, that we would be able to fund my education as well. So I made the most of my college experience from some of the things that I just told you all about. But simultaneously to that, we decided to start a business. My husband is a software designer by trade. I've always worked in businesses and small businesses, 3rd generation small business owner. And we decided to come up with, take an idea that we had, that we used to sit out on our driveway and map out software design products and come up with roadmaps of what we wanted to start, what we wanted to create. And we had an idea that we thought was pretty good, and we took it to some folks and got their opinion, and we realized that we were kind of onto something. Ourselves and our partner decided that we would take out the spare bedroom of our little house in Smyrna and we'd start a company there. So over the course of 2 years, we had employees running in and out of our house every day. We bootstrapped. In other words, whatever we made from consulting or whatever we brought into the company, that's what fed back into the company. I kept a full-time job, ran the books at night, paid the bills, and we grew that business over the course of 9 years. We signed Delta Airlines as our first client. We worked with companies like Walmart, Travelocity, NASCAR. And when we sold the company in 2006, we were incredibly blessed. We were blessed with timing, and we were blessed because we did those things that my father pressed upon me. We used our educations, we worked hard, and we were honest with people. When we sold that company, though, we looked back at all of the options that were in front of us. First of which would be to start another business. We funded ourselves. We had a team in place. We had great folks that supported us, and we had a client base. But the climate had changed. The business climate had changed. The regulatory climate had changed. And the world of technology, because of the things coming out of Washington, D.C., had made that change. So we got very involved in our community. I've worked here in Cobb County with organizations like Must Ministries, with the Cobb County Republican Party, with Wellstar and their foundation, their Cancer Council, which helps raise money for folks that can't afford advanced cancer treatment. And we kept waiting and looking. When would be the right time for us to strike out on our own? And I'll tell you, it's still a really tough environment out there. A lot of us held a great deal of hope in the elections of last November, hoping that we could make a change in the White House, hoping that that would provide the litmus test that we needed to keep capital flowing, to make sure that business had an opportunity for growth, to take out that uncertainty that was in the market. And it just didn't come. A couple years ago, Governor Deal and some members of the legislature asked me if they would take my same attitude and my same business approach and apply it to state government and remake our state's workforce development programs and the funds that go along with that. From the time that I started in September of 2011 until the time that I left back in April, I came in with a 10.1% unemployment rate, left with an 8.2% unemployment rate, and that translates to over 100,000 people being pulled off of the unemployment rolls and put back into Georgia's workforce. We know that there is still a whole lot of work to do. And where we've got conservative Republicans that are helping us here at the state level and at the county level and at the city level, in many cases, we don't have that same support out of Washington. And I think that it's time for a fresh perspective and a new crop of conservative leaders to go to Washington and make sure that we're able to fight for the futures. Futures of you, futures of me, futures of my family. When I look at the dozens and dozens of young people that have worked for me over the course of my career, it is so important to me and my husband Mike to make sure that every one of them and every one of you have that same opportunity to sit on your